want you to close your eyes for a second. Picture a car. It is 1975. You are somewhere in Europe, maybe winding through a back road in Essex or cruising down an autostrada. You see a low, long hood, a fastback roofline, maybe a little bit of cigarette smoke drifting out the open window. It's aggressive. It's affordable. It is the car you always promised yourself. It's the Ford Capri.
A true icon. They called it the European Mustang for a reason. It really defined an era of attainable cool.
Right. Now, open your eyes. Fast forward to today. Ford tells you that Capri is back. You get excited. You look at the press release, and you're staring at a tall, electric, five-door family SUV that weighs 2 tons and looks absolutely nothing like the car in your head.
It is quite the plot twist. It's definitely not the car Body and Doyle would be sliding around corners in.
It is a shock to the system. And that is the tension we are living in for this deep dive. We are looking at a nameplate that's been gone for nearly 40 years, and its return has triggered an absolute firestorm. The question we need to answer today is this a brilliant evolution of a brand, or is it just a cynical branding sticker slapped on a generic battery box?
It's the question of the year in the automotive world. And honestly, to answer it, we can't just rely on gut feelings or, angry Twitter threads. We have to look at the data. We have pulled together a serious stack of sources to make sense of this.
Lay it out for us. What are we working with today?
We have a really diverse mix to get the full picture. We are starting with the brutally honest hands-on review from Top Gear. That's dated January 2025. Then we have the official data directly from the Ford Media Center, specifically looking at the launch stats and customer buying habits from late 2024.
Okay, so we have the critics and the corporate line. What else?
Well, we need context. So we are also pulling from an editorial in This Day in Automotive History from May 2025, which really handles the cultural fallout and the history of the badge. And this is crucial. We've dug into Italian automotive reporting.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, specifically HD Motori, Quattroroute, and Esquire, because they have the technical scoop on the 2026 model year updates that haven't really made it to the mainstream English headlines yet.
Okay, so we are ahead of the curve on the tech specs. That's what I like to hear. So our mission is to look past the badge, if we can, and see if this machine actually stands on its own. But we cannot ignore the elephant in the room.
The name is the whole story, isn't it? I mean, if this was called the Ford E-Cross, we probably wouldn't be talking about it with this much intensity.
Exactly. Reading that piece from This Day in Automotive History, they frame the anger so perfectly. They talk about the sacrilege. For a certain generation, the Capri wasn't just a car. It was a personality. It was a statement.
It was. And Top Gear really leaned into this in their review. They made a comparison that I think just nails the demographic shift. They pointed out that the original Capri was the car of TV tough guys. Specifically, they mentioned the professionals.
Right, the British cop show.
Exactly. It was a car for sliding around corners, chasing bad guys, crashing through cardboard boxes. It was a rebel's car. It had a rough edge to it.
And the new one? Who is that for?
Top Gear didn't pull any punches. They said the new one will be driven by solicitors and accountants.
Ouch. From Body and Doyle to tax returns, that stings.
It's a shift from rebel to responsible, and that's where the friction comes from. People remember the feeling of the old car, the smell of petrol, the vibration, and the new car feels. Well, it feels like a very sensible adult decision.
But here's my issue, and I think a lot of you listening feel this too. If Ford knew this would annoy the enthusiasts, and they had to know, why do it?
Yeah.
Why not just call it something else? Why invite the hate?
There are two answers to that. There's the cynical business answer, and then there's the marketing fluff answer. Top Gear floats the theory that it's purely pragmatic.
Yeah.
Trademarking is a nightmare.
Really? Just because of paperwork?
It's more than paperwork. It is expensive. It takes years. And finding a name that sounds good in every language and isn't already owned by a toaster company in Belgium it's incredibly difficult. Ford already owns Capri. It's sitting in the drawer. It's free to use.
So it's a shortcut. That feels lazy.
It's efficient. But Ford, of course, has a different explanation. According to the Ford Media Center press releases, they claim this is about injecting soul into the EV market.
Soul. That's a big word for an electric SUV.
It is. But think about the EV market right now. A lot of electric crossovers feel like appliances. They are white goods. They're sterile. Ford argues that by using the Capri name, they are allowing a new generation to experience the swagger of the legend. They want to transfer that emotional connection.
Swagger on a family crossover. I'm skeptical.
Yeah.
But did they actually try to make it look like a Capri? Or is it just the badge?
They actually tried, and the data suggests it might be working, at least on a superficial level. Ford Media released some really interesting numbers on what customers are actually ordering. The most popular color, chosen by 24% of buyers, is vivid yellow.
Vivid yellow. That's not a color you see on many accountants' cars.
It's a direct homage to the classic Daytona yellow from the 70s. It's loud, it's aggressive, and if you look at the design cues, they've really tried to trigger those memories. They've sculpted the window outline to look like the old coupe.
Yeah.
They've put this dog bone graphic on the front grille area, which mimics the old headlights, and they have this curved rear quarter window.
So it's like visual shorthand.
Yes. It's meant to trigger that memory of the coupe profile, even though the car is physically much, much taller and bulkier.
It sounds like wearing a vintage leather jacket over a modern business suit. You're trying to signal that you used to be cool.
That is a perfect analogy, because underneath that vintage jacket, the body is completely different. And this is where we need to get technical, because this isn't really a Ford, is it? Not underneath.
This is the other controversy, the platform.
Right. Under the skin, this is a Volkswagen.
Just to be clear for everyone listening, when we say it's a Volkswagen, what does that actually mean? They didn't just buy a VW and change the badge, right?
Close. It uses the Volkswagen MEB platform. Think of it like a skateboard. The battery, the motors, the suspension, the wheels, that is all Volkswagen engineering. It's the exact same skateboard used for the VW ID.4 and ID.5.
So Ford is renting the technology.
It's a partnership. Ford builds the body and the interior on top of that VW skateboard. They build it at their own Cologne electric vehicle center. They spent $2 billion renovating that factory. So the assembly is Ford, the software tuning is Ford, but the bones are German.
Does that show up in the car? I remember reading that Top Gear found some artifacts from VW inside.
No, they did, and not in a good way. They pointed out that it shares the infamous VW electric window switches.
Oh no, the ones where you only have 2 buttons for 4 windows?
Yes. You have to toggle a little touch-sensitive button to switch between controlling the front and rear windows. It is universally hated.
I hate that. It's cost-cutting disguised as tech. It drives me crazy when I'm in a rental car.
It is. But to give credit where it's due, Top Gear said Ford's own software interface on the main screen is miles better than what VW offers. So they've taken the hardware, but they've improved the user experience where they could.
Okay, so we have a VW skeleton, a Ford skin, and a retro yellow paint job. But let's talk about the Go. The original Capri was about performance, or at least the look of performance. Does this thing move?
This is where those Italian sources Quattro and HD Motori are gold dust, because they detail the 2026 model year updates that are tweaking the performance.
Give us the numbers. What's changing?
So initially, the standard range model came with a 52 kilowatt-hour battery, but the 2026 update bumps that up to a new LFP battery with 58 kilowatt-hours.
Okay, pause. LFP.
Yeah.
We hear this acronym a lot in the EV world lately. Can you just explain, why that matters to someone who just wants to drive to work?
Sure. LFP stands for lithium iron phosphate. Most EVs historically used nickel, cobalt, manganese. LFP batteries are slightly heavier and hold a bit less energy for their size, but they are much more durable.
Durable how?
You can charge them to 100% every single day without hurting the battery health. With the older types, they usually recommend stopping at 80% for daily driving, so effectively you get more usable daily range. Plus, they don't use expensive cobalt, so they are cheaper and more ethical to produce. It's a workhorse battery.
So the base model is getting a tougher, slightly bigger battery that you can fill up every night. That sounds like a win for a daily driver.
It is, and it comes with a power bump. The base motor goes from roughly 170 PS to about 190 PS, and the torque, the shoving force you feel when you hit the pedal jumps to 350 Newton meters. So even the cheap Capri is getting punchier.
That's significant, but I assume most people aren't buying the base model.
Correct. The extended range RWD rear-wheel drive is the volume seller. 59% of buyers go for this one. It has a 77 kilowatt-hour battery, and the range is properly impressive. Ford claims up to 627 kilometers.
627 kilometers, doing the math. This nearly 390 miles.
Yes. Ford's press release specifically notes that is further than driving from Cologne, Germany to London, England on a single charge.
That is a very specific, very European road trip example, but nearly 400 miles. That basically kills range anxiety, doesn't it?
For most people, yes. It makes it a genuine primary car. But if you want speed, you have to go for the AWD Premium. That one has 340 PS and hits 0 to 62 miles per hour in 5.3 seconds.
5.3 seconds. Now, in a world of 3-second Teslas, that might sound slow to some internet commenters. But for a family car, that is fast.
It's faster than almost any original Capri you could buy from the factory. It's plenty quick. And the charging is competitive two peaks at 185 kilowatts, so 10% to 80% in about 26 minutes.
So technically, on paper, it checks all the boxes. It's fast enough, it goes far enough, it charges quick enough. But does it feel like a coupe? Ford keeps calling it a sports coupe.
And that is where marketing slams into reality. Top Gear was very clear on this. Despite the sporty marketing, this is not a coupe. It's a practical, high-riding crossover.
Practical is usually the word you use when a car is boring.
Usually. But here, the practicality is actually a weird selling point, because the Capri has a longer tail than the Ford Explorer.
Wait. The sporty version is bigger than the boxy version.
Yes. It's completely counterintuitive. The Explorer is boxy and short. The Capri has that sloping fastback, so they had to stretch the car to keep the headroom. That means the boot is actually huge. It's over 570 liters. That's about 100 liters more than the Explorer.
That is bizarre. So you buy the sexy car and you get more room for your groceries.
Exactly. And inside, they've really leaned into this idea of the car as a living space. The team at Top Gear highlighted something called the Mega Console.
The Mega Console. That sounds like something from a Transformers movie.
It does, doesn't it? It's a 17-liter storage bin under the armrest. Ford claims it is deep enough to hold 3 1.5-liter water bottles standing up.
3 massive water bottles. Under your elbow.
Yes, or a laptop, or a handbag. It's huge. And then there is the screen. It's a 14.6-inch touchscreen that slides. You can physically move the screen up and down to adjust the viewing angle. And when you slide it down, it locks a hidden storage compartment behind it for your valuables.
See, that's actually smart. That feels like they thought about how people actually live. We carry stuff. We need places to hide our phones.
They did. And frankly, that is a far cry from the original Capri. The original was known for being cool, but it was cramped, basic, and it rattled a bit. This new one comes standard with massaging driver's seats and heated steering wheels for everyone. It is luxury.
Massaging seats is standard. Okay, I'm starting to see why the solicitors and accountants like it. It's comfort over rawness. But let's talk about the drive. Top Gear drove it. Did they smile?
Their verdict was polite. They said it drives with smooth, damped precision.
Smooth, damped precision. That sounds like a very nice way of saying boring.
It means it's competent. It's not aggressive. It sits at the better end of the crossover segment dynamically, meaning it handles bumps better than a Tesla Model Y, and it's quieter than a Mustang Mach-E. But it isn't going to encourage you to drive like a hooligan. It's composed. It's mature.
So it looks like a rebel, but drives like a diplomat.
Perfectly put. And that brings us to the price. Because all this maturity isn't cheap.
What's the damage?
In the UK, pricing sits between roughly £41,000 and £57,000. In Europe, the promo price starts around £46,500, but the kicker is the comparison to the Ford Explorer.
Because they are basically the same car underneath.
Right, and the Capri costs roughly £2,000 more than the Explorer model for model.
So let's break that down. You are paying a £2,000 premium. What are you getting for that money?
You are getting the yellow paint option, you are getting the slightly curvier shape, you are getting that extra 100 liters of boot space, and you are getting the badge.
So you're paying for the style. Which brings us to the verdict. Is it worth it? And who is this actually for?
The field is incredibly crowded. Top Gear listed the rivals, and it is a shark tank. You have the Tesla Model Y, the benchmark. You have the Kia EV6, which looks very futuristic, the Cooper Tavascan, the Peugeot E3008, and of course its own cousins, the VW ID.5 and the Audi Q4 Sportback.
Why would you buy the Ford over the Tesla or the Kia? The Tesla has the supercharger network. The Kia charges faster.
Top Gear makes a really astute point here. They suggest that most people buying this car don't actually remember the original Capri.
Really? I thought the whole point was the nostalgia.
Think about the math. The original went out of production in 1986. If you were buying a family SUV today, you might not have even been born then. The nostalgia play is a marketing hook to get you to look at the ad, but the buyer is likely just someone who wants a solid, spacious EV that doesn't look like a jelly bean.
So the badge is almost secondary.
For the actual buyer, probably. Top Gear's advice was, don't let the name blind you. If you get hung up on the fact that it's not a 1970s coupe, you'll hate it. But if you look at it as a modern EV, it's spacious, easy to use, has great software, and drives well. It is a competent contradiction.
Competent contradiction. I like that. It uses the past to sell the future, even if it completely ignores the form of the past.
Exactly. And the sales figures, especially that high uptake of the vivid yellow and the premium trims, suggest that people are buying into the idea of it. They want a car with a bit of personality, even if that personality is engineered by a committee.
It's funny, we started this deep dive talking about tension, the tension between the past and the present. But it seems like the car resolves that tension by just being good enough to ignore the history if you want to.
Or to enjoy the history as a flavor rather than a strict rule. It's like a remix of an old song. It's not the original, but it's catchy in its own way.
Right. So we've covered the heritage, the VW platform connection, the surprising specs from the Italian reports regarding the 2026 updates, and the practical interior. It's a lot to digest.
It is, and it brings us to a final thought on evolution that I think is really key here.
Hit me with it.
Consider this. The original Capri was about accessible performance for the 1970s. That was the mission statement. It gave the working man a taste of the high life, a long hood, and a loud exhaust.
Right. It's the blue-collar dream car.
But what is accessible performance in the 2020s? It's not noise and smoke anymore. It's range, it's connectivity, it's a massive screen and massaging seats. It's the ability to drive 400 miles without worry.
That is a fascinating shift. You're saying the definition of performance has changed.
Totally. So perhaps a long-range, practical electric crossover is the true spiritual successor to the Capri, because it gives the people what they actually want today rather than what they wanted 50 years ago. Does the form matter more than the philosophy?
That is a thought that is going to keep me thinking for a while. Is the spirit of a car in its shape or in its purpose? It challenges how we think about nostalgia.
Exactly.
We're going to leave it there.
Mm.
But before we go, I want to take a moment to say a massive thank you to you, the listener.
Yes, thank you so much.
We know the world is loud. There is information overload everywhere. The fact that you took the time to stop, listen, and really understand the details of this machine, instead of just reading a headline or scrolling past a picture, that is what makes you a learner.
Absolutely. Taking that time to understand the why and not just the what is everything. We appreciate you spending that time with us.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll catch you on the next one.